All right. Good evening, everyone. Today is April 26,
Yes.
2024, and we have another live webinar for you um, from Web Accessibility Philippines. All right. Um, Good evening sa ating mga visitors dito sa live webinar and sa mga future audience sa Team Replay. Yeah. So, uh, for those na bago lang dito, this is Web Accessibility Philippines. This is a volunteer-run community where nagtuturo kami about web accessibility sa mga Filipino. So usually yung mga nandito are mga freelancers, mga designers, developers, and meron ding mga students and business owners. Also people with disability na gustong mag-interact and learn also about web accessibility. Ayan. So, meron tayong Facebook group and Facebook page. Kat will show the QR code and link mamaya dun sa
Yeah.
presentation niya. All right. Um, so, wala tayong sign language interpreter, pero meron tayong uh, automated na captions, live
Caption.
captions. Yung recording, we try to create the manual captions, but it's kind of a lot of work for us to do, being a volunteer run organization. So if you need additional accommodations sa mga sa mga webinars natin, feel free to contact us and we will try to accommodate yung mga ganong needs. Ayan. So ang topic natin ngayon is
Designing for accessibility.
okay.
Sige.
Wala yung slideshow. Ayun pala. All right. Ayan. Our topic for today is designing for all, 12 easy tips for creating accessible experiences. Ayan. I-share sa atin ng ating resident designer and co-founder ng Web Accessibility Philippines yung mga pwede nating gawin as designers para makakreate tayo ng more accessible experiences para sa ating mga users. Ayan. So, without further ado, I'm going to give the floor to our speaker for today, Kat Perez-Juan.
Yay. Hello guys, good evening. Wait, I will just rearrange my screen. Ayan. Kita naman yung screen ko, yes?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, good evening guys. Ayan. So, yeah, so yung topic tonight ay basically design, pero gusto ko lang very quickly i-run through natin yung about accessibility. Kasi para sa mga hindi hindi naka-attend ng mga previews na webinars, gusto ko simulan ng very very quickly lang kung para saan ba si accessibility. Okay, so simulan na tayo. Yeah, so una, define muna natin yung accessibility. So in general, yung accessibility, it's about inclusivity. So ibig sabihin, minimake sure natin na lahat, including products, services, mga lugar, mga structure, at saka even yung online content natin ay designed na kahit sino pwedeng mag-access, including yung mga taong may disabilities. Yan. So kumbaga kaya nilang mapuntahan, kaya nilang ma-access, maintindihan at magamit yung mga bagay na yun. Yung physical accessibility, ibig sabihin nito yung pagkaka-design ng spaces and structures at saka mga physical products. So example nito, wheelchair ramps, yung mga braille labels, yan, yung mas malalapad na doorways, yan, yun yung mga examples ng physical accessibility. Ngayon, si web accessibility naman, ang focus nito, syempre, sa digital world. Kasama dito yung design practices, coding techniques, at saka even content writing strategies para para yung mga websites natin or digital products ay maging perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. So, kumbaga, kayang gamitin ng kahit sino, including, again, people with disabilities. So, the goal of both physical and web accessibility is to remove or at least bawasan yung mga barriers. Pag sinabi nating barriers, ito yung mga bagay na nakaka-hinder or nakakapigil sa mga taong with disabilities to participate. Kumbaga, na magawan din nila yung mga kayang gawin ng mga taong walang disabilities. So, for example, isa akong tao na naka-wheelchair and nakita ko, nabasa ko sa Facebook kunyari, na merong isang restaurant na sinuserve yung favorite ko na pagkain. So gusto ko siya puntahan kasi masarap daw, maganda daw yung service, mura, abot kaya. Kaya lang pagdating ko dun sa lugar, sa address, um, the only way na makakapasok ako sa restaurant ay through the stairs, hagdan, and naka-wheelchair nga ako. So, yun yung tinatawag na barrier. Hindi yung hagdan, but yung absence ng wheelchair ramp para makaakyat ako at makapunta ako dun sa restaurant at makakain, maka-experience ng same experience, same level of experience na nararanasan ng mga taong walang disabilities kasi kaya nilang umakyat ng hagdan, kaya nilang makarating dun sa restaurant at makakain doon. Yun. So, yun yung very plain explanation of accessibility. Sige, so sino nagbe-benefit sa web accessibility? Ang very short answer dito ay lahat, everyone. So, pero isa-isahin natin. So, first of all, syempre, people with disabilities. Pagka nilagyan natin or if we practice web accessibility in our digital products or in our websites, nagiging mas intuitive yung website, nagiging mas intuitive, mas navigable, mas madaling maintindihan, mas madali nilang uh, mag-get kung paano gumagana yung website mo. Yan. So, hindi lang siya about usability, it's also about empowering people with disabilities. And when we say empowerment, binibigyan natin sila ng pagkakataon or binibigyan natin sila ng independence na magawa yung mga bagay without anybody else's help. So one example is if we need to make a bank transaction, for example, for people without disabilities, baka parang simple lang siyang gawin. So kukunin ko lang yung phone ko, bubuksan ko yung app, lalagin ako, and then pwede na akong mag-transfer or magbayad ng bills. Pero for people with disabilities, for example, a person who is visually challenged, baka different case siya. Mabuksan man niya yung app, pero baka hindi siya makapag-login. So, it might mean na ibibigay niya pa yung login details niya sa ibang tao para lang makagamit niya siya ng app. And baka kailangan pa niyang ipakiusap na or iutos na baka pwedeng ipakitransfer to sa ganitong bank account, ganyan. So, if we make sure na yung app na yon, sana kung yung app na yon ay accessible, hindi na niya kailangan ng tulong ng ibang tao. Hindi na niya kailangan ibigay yung login details niya. Hindi na kailangan makita ng ibang tao yung laman ng bangko niya, which is very personal, right? So yeah, so yun yung isang group of people who benefits from web accessibility. Next naman, mga taong without disabilities. So even people without disabilities can benefit or nag-enjoy din sa mga web accessibility practices or features. So for example, yung closed captions, di ba? So originally, closed captions were created or designed for people with hearing disabilities. So dahil hindi sila nakakarinig, at least mababasa nila yung content ng video or ng audio. Kaya siya ginawa yung captions. Pero I think halos lahat tayo gumagamit ng captions ngayon, right? Pag nanonood tayo ng mga videos, di ba? So, it's a very good example kung paano si web accessibility also benefits mga taong walang disabilities. Yeah. And then, wala. Ayan, lastly, businesses and organizations. Ayan. So, um, embracing accessibility or practicing accessibility in our products in the sense of organizations and businesses, nag-open siya na into a world of a huge or a wider audience. As per World Health Organization, merong 16% of the global population that has some sort of disability. So 16% global yun. And that's minimum 1 billion people around the world. So if an organization or a business prioritizes accessibility in their products, they can tap into this huge audience. And sila actually yung pinaka, I'd say, underserved na audience. And malaki yung kanilang buying power. Hindi lang natin alam dahil hindi natin tinatry sila i-reach out. Yun. So, malaking bagay kapag yung organizations and businesses ay nagpa-practice ng web accessibility. Yan. Yan. So, pag-usapan lang natin ng mabilisan, meron 3 klase ng disabilities. So, una, permanent disability, as the word says, it's permanent. Ito ay mga disabilities na nakaka-apekto sa tao lifelong and long term. So, example dito, yan, ito, yung first image natin, a person na amputated yung kamay. So, dahil hindi naman tayo tinutubuan ng limbs, di ba? Ano siya, considered siyang permanent disability. Kumbaga, isa lang yung kaya mong fully functional na kamay. Next ay temporary disability. So, temporary siya. Madalas dahil sa injury or sa sakit. So, a good example will be a person na may arm injury. So, pwedeng in a few days or weeks or maybe months, injured ka, nakasemento yung kamay mo. So, in that period, hindi mo siya magagamit. Pero, pag gumaling siya, pwede naman siyang bumalik sa original functions niya. And then, meron din tayong situational disability. So, katulad nitong si mommy na may hawak na baby. So, hindi naman ibig sabihin na pilay siya or wala siyang kamay. It's just that at that very moment, hindi niya kayang gamitin yung isang kamay niya kasi buhat niya si baby. Yan. Yan. So, yun yung 3. Pero, wag natin kalimutan yung age-related challenges. So, kung siswertehin tayo sa buhay, tatanda tayo. And along with our aging comes changes including paghihina ng eyesight, medyo manghihina na rin yung ating pandinig, and possibly manghina din yung ating katawan. So baka magkaroon tayo ng involuntary movement sa kamay, for example, yan. So all those changes, it just highlights kung bakit importante yung web accessibility. Kasi kumbaga parang pine-prepare natin yung digital realm sa ating pagtanda. Parang ganun. So so hindi lang siya para sa mga taong may permanent disabilities, pero para din siya sa mga yung mga taong temporary lang or in that very moment lang siya disabled or sa mga taong tumatanda. Yan. So, yan. Yan, kung bakit nga ba importante ang accessibility or ang web accessibility? Una, usability. Kasi nabanggit ko na kanina, kapag pinractice natin ng web accessibility, mas nagiging usable siya kasi nagiging intuitive, nagiging mas navigable, mas madali siyang manavigate or maintindihan ng mga tao. Yan. Pangalawa, may improve din yung SEO. Sa paanong paraan, Kat? How? pwede nating i-consider na yung mga search engine crawlers, para silang bulag at bingi. Okay, so hindi sila tao, kaya hindi naman sila nakakita, hindi sila nakakarinig. And they rely heavily on the text na nilalagay natin sa ating content, including yung mga text alternatives na nilalagay natin para sa mga images or sa mga non-text na mga media. Yan. So ginagamit ni SEO crawler or ni search engine crawlers yung text na yon para i-boost yung visibility ng ating website or ng ating produkto, ng ating digital product. Yan. And then, nakalagay din dito na future-proof niya yung ating product. Hindi lang yung design, but the web product itself. So, when we apply web accessibility practices in our products, make sure niya na compatible to sa iba't ibang mga browsers at sa iba't ibang mga assistive technologies. Yan. Okay, next ay empathy. Okay, so si empathy, ito siguro yung puso. This is the heart of accessibility. So, ang madaling definition ng empathy is putting ourselves into somebody else's shoes. So, ibig sabihin nito for us who are creating digital products like websites or landing pages or apps even, ibig sabihin nito ay deeply understanding and appreciating and being considerate of other people's needs. Yan. So, if we want to make sure na our product can serve the people that we want to serve, then we have to make sure na our products are accessible. Okay. And then lastly, responsibility. Ayan. So una, it's an ethical responsibility. Fundamentally, again, at its core, it's about inclusivity. It's about equality and human rights. That's why it is our ethical responsibility as people who design, as people who build, as people who write and create digital content. And then, of course, it's also a legal obligation. So if you don't know yet, maraming countries in the West, especially, that have laws about web accessibility. So, and when we say laws, as in, ano ba tawag? Ano bang Tagalog ng law? Sa may law, which means pwede kang mademanda kung hindi accessible yung website nyo. So, that's that. Sa US may tinatawag na ADA or Americans with Disabilities Act. And then sa UK meron din namang Equality Act of 2010. And then sa ibang bansa meron din ganun. So yung mga laws na ito, ang main goal nila is to stop discrimination against people with disabilities. So included dito yung ating web services or web products. Okay. Yan, mabilis ang kwento. Si Target, Target is a US-based corporation. And in 2006, way back, no, they faced a lawsuit na final ni National Federation of the Blind. So, ang reason is that yung website daw kasi ni Target ay hindi compatible sa screen readers. And the National Federation of the Blind filed a lawsuit about discriminating against the blind. Yun. So, ang ending, si Target ay nagbayad ng $6 million yan, for settlement. And then, they were also required or mandated by the government to remake their website and make sure na accessible yun. So, imagine $6 million in 2006. 2024 na. So that could mean a lot of money these days. Yeah. Kaya siya, responsibility natin, yung web accessibility. Okay? Hindi lang dahil posible na magbayad tayo ng ganito kalaki, pero it's more of making sure na lahat ng tao ay kaya mong i-cater. Or lahat ng tao ay kaya gumamit ng web product mo. Yeah. Alright, so diretso na tayo sa pagde-design. Yan. Okay. Finally, okay. So, bago tayo magsimula, may papakita lang ako na example. Ayan. So, ang nakikita nyo sa screen ngayon ay pedestrian light. So, originally, ang design ng pedestrian light ay bilog lang, katulad ng traffic light, no? Red and green na bilog. Kaya lang, this was very problematic, especially for people who are colorblind. Hindi nila ma-distinguish yung stop at saka yung go. Yeah. So, I'm not sure kung may mga nanonood ng K-drama dito. Kung napanood nyo yung The Glory, yung isang kontrabida doon, colorblind siya. Ayan, masingit ko lang yung K-drama. Colorblind siya, kaya hinire niya yung kaibigan niya para maging driver niya. Ayan, yun. So anyway, so to solve this issue, one traffic psychologist, ang pangalan niya si Carl Peglao, dinesign niya ito, which adds shapes other than the existing colors na red and green. So ngayon, mas madali ngayon siyang maintindihan ng mga tao, even colorblind people, kung pwede na bang tumawid o hindi. Right? So it's a very simple example of how good design does not only mean good aesthetics. It's about thinking of your users. It's about intentional design. Yun. Okay. Alright, sorry. Mamaya ko basahin yung questions, ha? Okay lang ba? Ayan, sige. Tuloy muna tayo. Okay, so punta na tayo sa visual design. So sa visual design, ito yung mga i-cover natin. Simula tayo sa step number 1. Okay. Step number 1 is about contrast ratio. By the way, bago ko pala ituloy, itong ibibigay ko pala, these are 12 tips. Like 99% of these tips are based on WCAG. And then the other 1% based on my experience. Yan. Yeah, so based on WCAG, I cannot cover everything na related sa WCAG. But itong 12 na to, very simple to implement. Madali lang sila i-implement. Kaya ako sila pinili. If you want to start adding or if you want to start applying web accessibility on your designs. Yeah. So ito yung 12 tips na yan. Okay, tip number 1 ay contrast ratio. So making sure na meron tayong sufficient or enough na contrast ratio or contrast ratio between the text and the background. This ensures na nababasa yung content natin, nababasa yung text sa ating website. Yan. So, yung pinapakita ko ngayon, ito ay, so sa Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, mayroong dalawa na levels are related to contrast ratio. So, si level AA at saka si AAA. Ngayon, hindi ko i-discuss yung technicalities nito, ha? Ang i-discuss lang natin ay puro design related at kung paano siya i-implement. Okay, so let's not go to the intricacies of the WCAG. We can do that some other time. Okay? So, pag-usapan natin yung nasa first column. Yan, ito. So, pag sinabing normal text, ito yung body text or text na nilalagay natin sa paragraph. Yan. Okay? Ito muna, dito muna tayo mag-focus. Pag sinabing large text, ibig sabihin nito, ito yung text na 24 pixels up or kung naka-bold naman siya ay 19 pixels. Okay? Pag sinabing images of text, ito yung text na na-convert sa images or as an image. For example, yung Love the Philippines, di ba? Basang-basa mo naman siya na Love the Philippines, pero image version siya. Right? So, yun yung images of text. Graphical objects or UI components, ito yung mga elements sa ating website tulad ng buttons, yung mga icons, yung mga interactive elements sa ating website. Merong dalawang exception sa contrast ratio. Ibig sabihin, hindi nila kailangan sumunod sa guideline. Una ay incidental. Ang ibig sabihin lang nito, anything that is decorative, yung wala namang walang information na binibigay. Okay? Yung kahit wala siya, maiintindihan pa rin yung website mo. Yan, incidental yan. Second ay logotype. So yung mga logo, di ba may sarili silang rules sa branding, for example. At saka, since logo siya, hindi natin pwede palitan yung kulay. For example, si McDonald's, di ba? Dilaw yung M niya. And hindi siya ganun ka okay in terms of contrast kung white yung background. Kaya lang, hindi naman natin siya pwedeng palitan kasi yun yung logo ni McDonald's. Tama? So, kaya exemption siya sa contrast ratio na ito. Okay. So, kung nakikita nyo, ayan, may mga numbers dito. Ito yung sinasabing contrast ratio. So, 4.5:1, 7:1. Hindi ko ituturo kung paano siya i-compute kasi hindi ako magaling sa math. Pero, ipapakita ko sa inyo yung tools. Yan. Mas madali kasing gumamit ng tools na lang kaysa mag-compute tayo ng kulay. Okay? Yan. So, yung unang tool na ginagamit ko ay si WebAIM. Mamaya magbibigay ako ng listahan ng mga tools. So, si WebAIM Contrast Checker, website ito. You can just search on Google, WebAIM Contrast Checker. And dito, kailangan mo lang ilagay yung hex code ng inyong font color or yung foreground dito. Ay, nakikita niyo ba yung arrow ko? Ayan, dito sa first box. And then yung background color dito. Tapos, automatic yun, ilalabas niya yung results here. Yan. So, makikita niyo kung pass siya or fail. Ngayon, ang target in general, ang target, makikita niyo kasi WCAG AA, WCAG AAA, ang pinaka-target ay AA lang naman. Pero syempre, kung kayang-kaya naman nating ma-achieve yung AAA, ibig sabihin yun yung pinakamataas na level of accessibility. I-achieve na natin yon. Okay? So for example, etong case na to, may fail siya sa AAA. Pwede ko pa rin naman to gamitin. Pero kung gusto ko siyang gawing AAA, pwede kong i-adjust yung lightness or yung darkness niya. Yung shade ng color, pwede ko i-adjust. Yun yung okay kay WebAIM. Kasi dun pa lang, pwede mo na i-adjust yung shade. Yan. Tapos, yung next tool naman na gamit ko ay sa Figma. So, Figma kasi yung gamit ko pag nagde-design. So, itong plugin na to, ang pangalan nito, Start. So, it works the same way as WebAIM, pero ang gagawin mo, isi-select mo yung background at saka yung foreground para makita niya kung accessible ba. Yan. Pwede ko bang, I think pwede kong ipakita. Wait lang. Yan. Kita niyo yung screen pa rin. Tama ba? Figma yung nakikita niyo. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Sige. So, pakita ko lang mabilisan. Gumagawa ako ng studies ng button. So, for example, ito, ang foreground or ang font color ko ay white. Tapos, ang background color ko ay red. So, buksan ko lang si Start. Hanapin ko siya sa plugin. Contrast. Ayan. So, sinelect na niya. Ito yung two colors na gamit ko. Si F8, F8, F8 yung aking text at yung background ko ay A117C. So, as you can see here, naka-check sa lahat. Ibig sabihin, compatible or accessible itong color combination ko. Yan. So, ganyan gamitin si Start. Okay. Tapos, meron pa akong isang bagong discover na tool. Salamat kay Rian. Ayan. Nandito ba si Rian? Ayan. Sana umaten siya. Pero sa kanya ko to natutunan. Yung contrast grid. So, itong contrast grid, ang ginagawa niya, gumagawa siya ng table at kino-combine niya na yung possible na or binibigay na niya yung possible combinations doon sa brand colors mo. Very helpful to for me kapag nagsisimula pa lang ako and nagbigay kunyari si client ng kanyang brand colors. So ginagamit ko tong si contrast grid tool para malaman kung aling combinations ang accessible. So pakita ko ulit yung actual niya. Ayan. So, ang ginawa ko lang, sinelect ko tong 6 colors ko. So, kita ko ha, select. Tapos, buksan ko lang si plugin na Contrast grid. Ayan. Ay, wait. Kailangan ko palang actually select. Ayan, okay. Contrast grid. So, sinelect niya lahat nung automatically sinelect ay pinull out niya yung hex codes ng mga to. Pag kinlik ko yung create, binigyan niya ako ng table. Ayan. So, sa table na to, malalaman natin kung aling combination yung okay. So, for example, si F8, 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 or tawagin na lang nating white, ay AAA siya in combination with 3333. Okay? So, ganun din siya. So ito naman, let's go to red. Okay. So, ito si red, at saka ito si white, AAA yung combination niya. Which means, uh, mataas na level of accessibility kapag ito yung ginamit natin na combination. Yan. Okay. Isa sa mga favorite tools ko ngayon yan. Alright. So, moving forward, wait. Ayan. So, meron akong bonus tip. So, a lot of designers like using black and white, yung two ends of the spectrum, 000 tsaka FFF. While it is pasado in terms of contrast, actually mataas yung contrast niya, we have to consider several things before we use yung 000 at FFF na black and white combination. So, may mga taong may light sensitivity, yan. And yung white background or yung black text over white background, baka mahirapan silang basahin to kasi nakakaduling siya sa sobrang taas ng contrast. Also, we have to consider kung yung users natin baka nasa labas. And we know na yung light or yung white background, nire-reflect niya yung liwanag. So, magkukos siya ng glare, tapos magkukos pa siya ng eye strain kay user. Kaya hindi ko na siya ginagamit. Hindi ko na siya ginagamit ngayon. So ang solution ko is to use other shades. For example, etong apat na combination na nakikita nyo ngayon sa screen. I use it interchangeably because okay pa rin yung contrast ratio nila. They achieve yung AAA or sobrang taas ng kanilang accessibility in terms of contrast ratio. Pero hindi sila super glaring tulad ng black and white. Yeah. So that's a bonus tip for you. Tip number 2 is about use of color. So ang sinasabi lang nito, dapat hindi lang kulay ang gamitin natin kapag if we want to convey information. So a good example yung kanina, yung ating pedestrian light example. So dahil bilog lang siya previously na red and green, may mga taong hindi alam kung pwede na bang tumawid or hindi pa. Now, tulad nung ginawa ni Carl Peglao, nag-add siya ng shape or ng in other terms, nag-add siya ng iba pang visual cue from the existing color. So, yun lang yung tip number 2. Sinasabi lang niya na wag lang kulay yung gamitin natin. Okay? So, paano implementation nito, Kat? Very common ito sa mga forms, for example, kung saan kailangan natin i-indicate kung alin yung required. Right? So, yung first example natin, as you may see, ang instruction niya ay required fields are in red and marked with an asterisk. So aside from making the fields in red, naka-red na font siya at saka naka-red na border siya, nilagyan pa ni designer ng asterisk para mag-add ng visual cue. Quick tip ulit, when using asterisk, make sure na you use a bigger font. So for example, etong buong text na to ay 16 pixels. Ito, yung required fields are in red. 16 pixels yung body font ko. Pero yung asterisk ko, ginawa ko siyang 20. Kasi yung 16 pixels na asterisk, masyado pa rin siyang maliit. Yan. So yun lang quick tip dun. Kung gagamit yun na asterisk, make sure na bigger yung font. A better implementation would be the second example. So ilagay mo na yung word na required na lang instead of asterisk. Kasi if the screen reader will read through it, kung hindi kung hindi na i-develop ng maigi or baka nakalimutan ni developer, ang babasahin ni screen reader dito sa first ay posibleng first name asterisk. So yung second example, babasahin niya to as first name required. So, ibig sabihin, alam na ni person, ni user, na required tong field na to kahit hindi niya pa nakikita. Okay. Next implementation example ay kung gusto nating mag-incorporate ng links sa mga paragraphs. Okay, so for some designers, ang ginagawa nila, change or pinapalitan nila yung kulay para to indicate that it's a link or it's something that's interactable. So, dahil again, people who have color blindness might not distinguish na iba pala yung kulay niya. So, tip 1 here, you can make the font weight heavier. So, in this case, ginawa siyang bold. So, kahit gray scale yung nakikita ni user, nakita niya na bold tong part na to. Okay? Next would be the most common way to do it, which is to add an underline. Yeah. So, lahat ng links naman or halos lahat ito yung implementation na maglagay ng underline. Another tip is you can add a small icon tulad nito that would indicate na it's interactable. So kahit wala siyang underline, may maliit na icon dyan that can show na it's a link. Diba? Itong icon na to indicates that it's clickable and it opens on a new tab or a new window. And then kung hindi naman super overwhelming sa design nyo, pwedeng combine all three. So gawin mo na siyang bold, gawin mo na siyang underline, lagyan mo pa ng icon. Yan. Kung hindi siya overwhelming. Alright. Another implementation about yung use of color ay somehow specific sa mga graph. So the tip here is to use patterns or shapes. Okay? So yung first box here, yeah, in first box, it's a graph of apples, oranges, and bananas. So the colors used are not to contrast. Yung contrast-wise, hindi sila masyadong mataas yung contrast. So for people who have color blindness, baka gray lang yung nakikita nila dito. So what a designer can do, first, add strokes. So lagyan mo ng guhit yung separation or the sections of the pie. Yeah. Next, the designer can add patterns. So for example, yung oranges nilagyan niya ng dots and yung bananas nilagyan niya ng stripes. So that way, kahit grayscale yung nakikita ni user, kita niya na, this section is for oranges, this section is for bananas, and this section, wala siyang pattern, apple siya. Yeah. Or a better implementation still, especially if very simple lang yung ating graph, is to put the labels inside the graph itself. No? And even better pa, if you can add the value of the graph. Tulad nito, nilagay niya 40%, nilagay niya 30%. Yun. Tip number 3 ay typography and readability. So ito yung sinasabi kong 1%, walang wika guideline specific to typography and readability, pero very important na pumili tayo ng tamang typeface. So the right typeface can make or break our design. Kasi as you may know, 80 to 90% of our websites ay text, right? So our the paragraphs or the kung articles, yung blogs, even the buttons, di ba? May text siya. Kaya importante to choose the right typeface for our designs. Ayan. So first tip about selecting typefaces, avoid complex characters. So as you can see here, dalawang examples, it's easier to read the first box kasi sans serif siya compared to the second one, which is in script. So pareho lang yung content niya, pero mas madaling basahin yung sans serif. If you really need to use a complex font style dahil sa branding, you can do so. You can still do so. You can still use it, pero very sparingly. I suggest maybe sa mga titles or headings na hindi naman super haba. Yan, pwedeng ganun. Or if you want to highlight something, for example, may quote ka na gustong i-add dun sa content mo, quotation from someone or from someone successful, ganyan, pwedeng gamitin mo yon. Pero very sparingly. Okay? Let's still aim for simplicity in terms of selecting fonts. Next would be to make sure na merong enough size, may space, at saka tama yung weight. Okay? So in terms of size, the most recommended font size for body size or paragraph fonts ay 16 pixels. Okay. For the spacing naman, for both line and paragraph spacing, a minimum of 150% or 1.5. Now, personally, pwede siyang lumaki for me. Pwede pa siyang, yung spacing pwede pang umabot ng 200% or maybe more. But it depends on the design and a big factor din yung font style. Kasi merong mga fonts na mahaba yung mga buntot. Kunyari yung G, medyo mahaba. Baka hindi enough yung 150%. Yan. Okay. Letter spacing, usually I don't add any kasi okay naman na yung letter spacing, meaning yung space between the letters. No? For some cases, I add konti lang. Up to 3% ina-add ko. If I feel na parang congested yung design or yung spaces nung napili kong font. Yan. So I add a little space lang. Hindi rin natin pwedeng i-overuse yung space, by the way, kasi mas mahihirapan din si user magbasa. So for example, sa letter spacing, ginawa natin 10%, yung isang letter nandito, isang letter nandito, isang letter nandito, even 3-letter word, ma-force siya na lumingon para lang basahin yung word na yon. So yun yung gusto nating iwasan. Yan. Next would be, yan, yung line width. So, palagi akong nagkakamali dito dati. Kino-consume ko yung space. Pero I found out na may mga taong may very limited movements. Even yung movement ng neck nila, limited. Kaya, the advisable line width would be 60 to 75 characters lang yung laman ng isang line. Pag sinabi nating line width, ito yon yung isang guhit na to. Ay, kita niyo ba? Ayan, ito. Yan, isang line yan. Yung perceivable content means that information hanggang sa B. One line yan. So, recommended ay between 60 to 75 characters, including spaces, or 500 to 700 pixels yung text box, kung ganun siya ka-wide. Usually, naglalaro lang ako personally, ang gamit ko lagi ay 600 to 650. Ayoko na siyang i-extend to 700 kasi minsan nga, kailangan ng lumingon nung tao. And then sometimes, if you're using a smaller device, may lalabas bigla na scroll bar na kailangan pa niyang i-scroll para lang mabasa yung dulong part. So, yun yung iniiwasan natin. Okay? Alright. So, ayan. You may ask, no, paano ka ba pumili ng font? Okay. So, first off, consider niyo si audience. Ano ba sila? Sino ba sila? No? If your target audience are professionals, for example, mga doctors, mga lawyers, yan, mga professors, it is less likely, I think, nagagamit tayo ng Comic Sans, tama? Di ba? So, kailangan yung font na piliin natin ay mag-resonate sa kanila. Okay, next, think about your brand. Ano ba yung gustong ipakita ni brand mo? Serious ka ba? Serious brand ka ba? Athletic brand ka ba? Or fun brand ka ba? So, dapat yung font na pipiliin mo would reflect yung personality din ni organization or the company that you are designing for. Okay? So, yeah. Next would be, ayan, white space. Okay. So, if you are selecting a font, you check for the white space. Kapag sinabing white space, ito yung space sa loob ng font. So, for example, ito, yung space na nasa loob na nasa loob ni letter C, ni letter O, at saka ni letter E. So, medyo ito yung tatlong letters na lagi kong chinecheck kasi usually the font styles would design these letters C, O, and E with the same height, with the same width, and the same shape. So for people with visual challenges or even people with learning challenges, um, tulad ng dyslexia, for example, or yung nahihirapan magbasa, they may find it difficult to differentiate between the letters kung masyadong maliit yung white space. For example, etong pangalawa. Sobrang liit ng white space na kung sobrang labo ng mata ko, baka O pa rin yung tingin ko sa kanya. Pero letter C siya. Kasi sobrang liit eh. Tingnan nyo, in comparison to the O, di ba? Yeah. Wherein, yung mga example na nasa kabilang side, so ayan o, ang laki ng opening compared sa O. So mas madali ngayon ma-distinguish between the letters. Okay. Next would be mirroring letters, and this is very specific to these four: B, D, Q, and P. So again, there are people with dyslexia and other reading challenges. So even yung mga may low adult educational background, for some people, they find it confusing itong letters na to. Ako personally, minsan nalilito rin ako, ano ba to, B or D? So if you're selecting a font, find fonts that has specific styles that would help in differentiating the letters. So for example, ito, in comparison to this, etong second example, nilagyan niya ng buntot yung D, yung B wala. Di ba? So may difference. Ganon din si Q at saka si P. Compare dito na parang, di ba? Parang bumaliktad lang, mirroring nga eh, di ba? So ito, si Q, nilagyan nila ng buntot din. So this is a very good example of how to choose fonts or font styles. Ayan. So meron akong quick question. Pwede nyo bang sabihin sa chat, alin dito yung pinaka-legible? Si Gilsan, si Gotham, o si Com? Nice. Yes. Si Com. Kasi, pakita ko sa inyo. Ayan. So, si Gilsans, kapag nag-type tayo ng, eto favorite ko pala to by the way, na i-type, 1 Illinois, kunyari address. Puro siya guhit. Diba? So, for a person who is not familiar with the word Illinois, malilito siya, ano to? 111 ba to? Parang ganon. Si Gotham, while it is considered accessible, uh, in general, sans serif fonts are accessible. Meron siyang distinguishable one, pero yung I tsaka yung L niya, konting-konti lang yung difference. Mas matangkad lang yata ng konti yung letter N. Pero si Com, as you can see, very distinct yung number 1. Yung I niya, very different from the small letter L. Yan. Kaya si Com yung pinaka-legible. Okay. Tip 4 ay text alternative. So ito ay para sa mga multimedia na nilalagay natin sa ating content. Lawlaw na yogurt. Oo, true. Okay. So, ang sinasabi lang dito sa guideline na to ay dapat lahat ng ating multimedia ay merong text alternative. Okay. So, paano siya i-implement? Yung key dito ay make sure na it is concise and simple and relevant. So, for example, in number 1, ang pwedeng alt text dito ay contact number or telephone number. Instead of saying black telephone, kasi walang sense yun. Pag sinabing black telephone, tas binanggit yung phone number. Di ba? So, yun. In the next example, pwede natin sabihin email address or email instead of saying black envelope. Kasi wala siyang sense to say black envelope. Okay. Next tip, for links naman, at gusto mong lagyan ng icon yung link, make sure lang na naka-merge na yung alt text ng link at saka ng icon kasi they are referring to the same thing. Okay? So, pwede siguro ang alt text natin dito ay go to my website, opens in a new tab. Pwede siguro gano'n. If you are adding downloadable content on your website, make sure that you announce kung anong file type siya. So that the user will know kung meron siyang, kung available yung software sa kanya to open that file. So in this case, a good alt text would say, download sales report 2023 PDF file. So alam na niya agad na, okay, PDF to. Meron akong Acrobat Reader or whatnot. Next tip, for very complex images like graphs tulad neto, you still have to retain na yung alt text natin ay simple and concise, meaning one sentence max or maybe two sentences, super haba na yun. So one sentence lang yung ating alt text, pero if we want to explain further, kung gusto pa natin i-explain yung graph, we can do so. So pwede natin i-add more details about the graph, ilagay natin siya on a different page, and then make sure that we link it here. And yung link natin dapat adjacent lang dun sa graph. Ngayon, Kat, bakit sa ibang page pa? Ba't hindi na lang natin ilagay dun sa content? It's a very common question, no? Actually, pwede naman. Pwede siyang ilagay sa content. Kung gusto mo i-explain yung graph within the article itself, for example, or within the blog, pwede naman. The only downside is that for people who don't really need an explanation, kailangan pa nila basahin yun. Yes? So parang hahaba lang yung article nyo or yung blog nyo when for me, for example, okay na ako sa graph. Hindi ko na kailangan ng explanation. So making it available on a different page, it's like giving your users the option to either read it or not. Okay? So yun. Yeah, so quick tips for implementation, pero you can go to etong mga links na to. Later on, bibigay ko yung links for more tips and tricks. Okay, moving forward na tayo. Ayun. So meron pala ako na-discover na AI-generated alt text generators. Okay, so they are both free. While I do not discourage you to use it, kasi for some people, tulad ko, hindi ako magaling magsulat. It's helpful. Pero, make sure that you review kung ano yung generate niya. Kasi, baka hindi siya contextually correct. So, for example, if I add yung icon natin kanina ng telephone, sasabihin ni AI generator, icon of a black phone. Ganun lang sasabihin niya. When in reality, ang gusto natin sabihin na ito yung contact number namin. Diba? So, it's not the same. Okay? So, you can use AI-generated tools if you want, but make sure that you review it at hindi lang tayo mag-copy-paste. Okay. Step 5 is captions and transcripts. So, very similar to the alt text, pero it focuses on the audio and your video content. Okay. So, good example is from thisiscriminal.com. So, thisiscriminal.com is a podcast site. So, may mga stories sila. What I like about this website is they always provide a transcript for their podcast. So, kung hindi mo naririnig, nababasa mo siya. So, ito yung example niyan. So, ito, the interrogation room is one of the podcasts. And ito siya. So, ang maganda sa kanya, naka-script type siya. So, you know kung sino yung nagsasalita. Now, this does not only benefit those who cannot hear, this also benefits people who like to read rather than to listen. So, two-way ngayon siya. Di ba? Another good example, I'd say, would be from Netflix. So, if you know Netflix, in Netflix, automatic yan, meron yan captions, meron yan, meron din silang audio description. But what I liked about them is that they added this very thoughtful feature for me, ito, wherein the user can choose how they want to see the captions. So for example, for me, na malabo mata, almost 400 na yung aking grado, I would prefer yung subtitle ko or yung caption ko ay naka-large text. Yan. So very helpful siya. I think na sobrang thoughtful nitong design na to. They are already providing subtitles and captions, no? Yun. Next ay media control. Ayan. So, meron tatlong guidelines dito. Pero, i-summarize ko lang. Okay? So, ang main rules natin kapag nag-add tayo ng media sa ating website. When we say media, these are videos or audios or anything that's moving. Number 1, huwag tayong mag-autoplay. Hindi yung pagka-load pa lang may nagpe-play na music or may nagpe-play na video. Bakit? Kasi this can disrupt the people who use assistive technologies. So for example, gumagamit ako ng screen reader. So dahil screen reader siya, nagbabasa siya, di ba? Now, pag nag-open yung page, biglang may sound, magtataka ako, saan nanggaling yung sound? Baka maisip ko na may na-click ba ako or may napuntahan ba akong iba? So this disrupts the even the focus of the user. Baka magulat siya, but may sound bigla, di ba? Makakos pa tayo ng panic attack. So that's number one. Avoid autoplay. If unavoidable, maximum of 3 seconds lang, tapos stop na siya. Okay. Number two, make sure that there is control for the users. Meron siyang control for audio, means volume control. Meron siyang way to pause, to stop, at saka to hide. Okay? See, again, some people might find it nakaka-distract. Okay? So yun, make sure that there is control for volume, for pause, for stop, for hide. Yun yung rule number 2. Okay? Rule number 3 is about animations. Ideally, we don't want to put flashes or animations or GIFs na nagfa-flash kasi this can cause mental and physical reactions. Okay? So ideally, wala sanang ganun. If again, mayroon siyang if you really need to add one, then make sure na yung animation niya ay maximum of 3 flashes per second. Hindi sobrang bilis. Yun. Okay, so let's see the implementation. So this is a website wherein yung unang makikita mo ay video. Now, this does not play automatically, which is good. And the main thing here is to provide or to make sure that it is user-initiated, whatever it is, yung media, dapat user-initiated. So, ako as a user, kailangan ko pang i-click yung play bago siya mag-play ng video. So, that's a good practice. Okay. This is also applicable to sliders, automatic sliders. So, ideally, wag automatic, yung biglang gagalaw every few seconds. Kasi hindi rin siya nag-grasp ng user agad. For example, binabasa ko pa lang, umurong agad. Diba? So, if you want to add sliders, make sure na user-initiated yung movement. So, pwedeng lagyan nyo ng button or arrow para siya na lang yung mag-uurong. At least makonsume niya muna yung content of one image bago mapunta sa iba. Parang gano'n. Okay. Next would be, ayan, ito ang example ng ating blinking or flashing media. So, maraming websites ang gumagamit nito kasi it can attract attention. Pero, balik ko muna, no? Baka kasi may ma-trigger. Okay. These examples can trigger mental and physical reaction. So may mga taong nagkakaroon ng seizures because of light sensitivity and color sensitivity. So kaya natin iniiwasan to. Imagine, dumalaw na nga lang sila sa website mo, inatake pa sila. Diba? Parang nakaka-guilty naman yon. So share ko na rin na meron palang isang episode si Pokemon that caused a lot of kids to be sent to the ER that night kung kailan nag-play tong episode na to. And that episode was when Pikachu was learning his powers, yung Thunderbolt power niya. Ang daming lights and animations and color changes ng episode na yun. So unfortunately, kahit na ang ganda ng episode na yun, kasi parang, wow, Pikachu, marunong ka na, ganyan. It sent a lot of kids to the ER that night because of that. So yeah, so that's why we have to, 1, avoid flashing content, 2, limit flashing rates, a maximum of 3 flashes per second, or even better, if you can use safer animation techniques tulad ng slower transition. Okay. Provide user control, nabanggit ko na to kanina, control sa volume, pause, stop, hide. Alternative methods, meaning baka pwede namang colors na lang or gumamit na lang ng bigger font or an image to emphasize something instead of using GIF. And then lastly, education and collaboration. This goes for you and your client or your stakeholders. Kapag nagpilit si client, pwede mong i-explain na, Sir, ma'am, baka kasi makakos tayo ng seizure. Ayaw naman natin yon, di ba? So, and then collaborate for ways on how you can do it differently. Yeah. Navigation and interactivity. May time pa ba yan? Meron pa. Tip number 7 ay touch targets. So, ang pinaka-suggest or pinaka-rule lang dito, yung touch targets ay dapat minimum of 44 by 44 pixels. So, kapag sinabing touch target, ito yung laki ng interactive element. Okay. So, meron lang, may certain exceptions. Ayan, nakalista naman dyan. Pero ang i-highlight ko lang is yung exemption niya for the link, especially if the link is within a paragraph. So, hindi niya kailangan sumunod sa 44 by 44 pixels kasi kung nasa loob siya ng paragraph, baka ma-misalign siya. Diba? Kasi, diba, kunya 16 pixels yung font, mabiglang 44 yung link. Diba? So, mami-misalign siya. So, it's one of the exemptions. So, paano ba ito i-implement, Kat? 2 ways to do it. Number 1, you can make the entire element minimum size na 44 pixels. Okay? So, ganon. Itong button na to ay 44 pixels yung height. Yan. Itong icon na to ay saktong 44 by 44. Pwedeng ganon. If you find 44 pixels big, which is I find big myself, pwede natin gawing mas maliit yung button. Pero yung padding niya, yung touch target or yung click target pa rin niya will remain 44 by 44 pixels. So, ganun din to. For example, yung delete button, pinaliit natin yung icon in comparison to this one, pero yung green, which represents the padding or the click target, remains the same. Okay. Next would be, ayan. So, another tip would be to apply yung clickable area to the entire element. So, this is very helpful for radio buttons, for example. So, as you can see, itong radio button na to, sobrang liit niya. And even people without disabilities might find it difficult na ipasok pa yung dulong-dulo ng mouse pointer mo dun sa bilog only to click it. So, ang tip dito is, isama mo na yung label as part of the clickable area and make it bigger. So, kahit dito pa lang, naklik ko na siya. Right? Ayan. By the way, itong tip pala na to does not only benefit those who use devices or mobile devices. Hindi lang siya dahil touch target yung pangalan ng tip ay dahil pang touchscreen siya. Hindi. So this is also helpful for people with mobility issues. For example, someone who survived a stroke, kunyari na meron na siyang involuntary movements. So baka shaky na yung mouse niya. So making sure na big enough yung clickable area or touchable area will help them still interact with your content kahit na meron silang challenge. Yan. Ayan. Tip number 8 is about focus indicators. So, ang sinasabi lang dito, ang focus indicator ay when you use tab or your keyboard when navigating, yung focus indicator, this shows kung nasaan na siya. Kung nasaan ka na at kung sino na yung naka-highlight. Which interactive element na yung naka-highlight and ready to be interacted with. So it can be in a form of a color change or background change or pwede ring border. Ganyan. Usually border siya. So meron akong 3 tips dyan. Una, I make sure na lahat ng interactive elements ay merong focus state, merong focus design. Bakit? Okay, meron ng default ang mga browsers. Tama ako, no, Gerson? May default focus state na yung mga browsers. Kaya lang, yung default niya, baka hindi siya kita sa design ko. So hindi ko sure kung ano exact color ng default focus state ng Google or ng Chrome. Pero kung let's say black yung focus state niya, tapos yung design ko ay dark blue, baka yung focus state hindi kita dun sa over the dark blue. That's why I always make sure na lahat ng interactive elements merong focus state. So that's tip number 1. Para ma-make sure lang na nasa brand at make sure na kitang-kita siya sa design natin. Tip number 2, I use a two-toned focus design. Dalawang kulay. If you notice, purple and yellow. Bakit dalawa? Actually, ano din to eh, WCAG guideline din to eh. Bakit dalawa? This makes sure na hindi ko kailangan mag-design ng focus state sa iba't ibang background. Diba, sa isang website, in a landing page, for example, or in a home page, merong iba-ibang sections. And yung iba-ibang sections na yun, pwedeng iba-iba rin yung kulay. Merong dark yung kulay ng section na to, light yung kulay ng section na to. Using two-toned colors ensures na hindi ko kailangan mag-design sa bawat background. Kasi makikita naman siya. Ang kailangan ko lang i-ensure ay yung dalawang kulay na ginamit ko, for in this case, dark purple at saka yellow, mataas yung contrast ratio niya. So, i-measure ko siya ngayon, dapat 9:1 or sobrang taas nung contrast ratio nitong dalawa. So, pakita ko yung example. Yes, may example ako kasi tinatrabaho ko to kanina. Where is that? Okay. Here you go. Ayan. Okay. So, kita nyo ba? So, dalawang kulay yung ginamit ko dito na focus indicator. Isang light at isang dark. So, si red, ito yung original niya. Ayan. Ganito lang siya. Ito yung default state. And then, ito yung focus state. Dalawang kulay yung ginamit ko. Red na focus indicator, red border, and then light, very light pink border. So, as you can see, nilagay ko siya sa light, kita pa rin yung red border. Nilagay ko siya sa dark, kahit medyo nakakaduling tingnan yung red na border, kitang-kita pa rin yung light na focus indicator. So, yun siya. Ayan o, kita siya. So, that's why I use two colors. Okay. What else? Wait lang. Sorry, nawala ako. Ayan. So, if you want to reach a higher level of accessibility, kung gusto nyo maging AAA, pwede nyong gawin na yung focus indicator nyo ay 2 pixels thick. AAA na agad yun. So, for example, instead of using 1 pixel na border, gawin mong 2, pwede na siyang pumasa as AAA. Yan. Next tip, ayaw gumalaw ng screen ko. Oh my gosh. Yan, labels and instructions. So, ang sinasabi lang dito ay kung meron tayong pinapagawa or meron kailangan gawin new user sa ating website ay malinaw yung ating instruction. Okay. Very specific to, for example, if you have a form on your website, yan. So, ito siya. So, ito yung some tips or best practices on how to design a form. So, una, dapat may form title. Form title. Si form title, ito yung nagsasabi kay user kung para saan tong form na to. Ano nga ba tong form na to? Contact us. Okay. So, para ma-contact ko yung company na to. Next would be to put straightforward and simple instructions. Huwag na natin pagarbuhin yung instruction. No? So please fill out the form below to reach our support system. Yeah. Next would be for form labels, dapat ganun din, simple and straightforward. And if you are expecting a specific format, for example, an email, yan, so may format yung email or yung birthday, gusto niyo specifically MMDDYY, ilagay na natin siya sa label para alam na agad ni user kung paano ita-type. This lessens yung errors. So, mababawasan natin yung error. And then lastly, syempre, clear CTA. Dapat yung posisyon ng CTA mo after ng form. Huwag natin ilagay sa gilid kasi malilito si user kung saan niya pipindutin after. Yeah. This is a new success criteria. Ibig sabihin, bagong rule to sa WCAG. Level A. So, kung ang sinasabi lang dito is kung if we will be asking for the same information from the user, bigyan natin sila ng option to reuse it. So for example, this is very common for e-commerce website. na hinihingi nila yung shipping address at yung billing address na usually pareho lang naman. So what you can do is, para hindi na ulit mag-type si user, pwede nyo lagyan na lang din ng checkbox na pareho lang yung shipping address ko tsaka yung billing address ko. Pwedeng ganun. Ganun lang kasimple. Right. Okay, last three covers content and structure. So una, hierarchy and headings. So sinasabi lang dito na kung magde-design tayo, make sure na maayos yung structure, meaning alam ni user kung saan siya una dapat pumunta, saan siya next, saan siya next, saan siya next. Yan. So, basically, more for developers ito, yung pag-set nung kung saan yung pupunta. Pero for designers, marami din tayong pwedeng magawa. So, pwede tayong gumawa ng parang flowchart para mabigay natin kay developer kung saan natin gustong pumunta, or kung if there's a specific order ng pupuntahan yung cursor, then we can create a flowchart para kay developer para alam niya kung paano niya i-develop. Now, one thing that I do as a designer is that I create a font system which is equivalent to the H codes or H tags for developers. So yung font system na to would show kung anong design, anong style ng mga headings at nung other fonts. Yan, which is again helpful for designers kasi ay for developers kasi si dev yung naglalagay ng tag kung alin yung headings ngayon. So pakita ko rin ulit yung example ng ginagawa ko. Where are you? Ayan. So meron akong parang ganito. Ayan. So nakalista dyan yung headings, anong typeface siya, anong style siya, size, etc., na pwedeng iset na ni developer. Yan. And then, yung magiging itsura niya kapag ginamit ko lahat to ay ganito. So may heading 1 ako, may subtitle ako. Yan. So mas maayos siya tingnan. Kumbaga, nakaayos siya structurally. So that's how important yung mga headings. Next would be, ayan, error messages and feedback. So, marami tayong mga, this is specific to websites na merong functions and forms. So, sinasabi lang dito na dapat yung error message natin ay clear, naiintindihan, at madaling i-correct. And then the next guideline, bago rin to na guideline sa bagong WCAG 2.2. Sinasabi lang dito na dapat lahat ng pages ay merong access to help, which means pwede tayong makontak or pwedeng may access to help resources like FAQs. So implementation nito, ito. So tips lang how to create a right or a helpful error message. Huwag natin pahulain si user. Ipakita na natin kung nasaan yung error at kung ano yung error at kung paano aayusin yung error. Huwag na natin sabihin, you had an error. Okay, tapos, di ba? So, wag ganun. Don't blame the user. Gumamit tayo ng neutral tones. Wag natin sabihin na, oh, mali kasi kinlik mo eh. Di mali ka tuloy, error tuloy. So, keep the messages neutral and focus on the solution. Proper error handling, this just means na if there is an error, as much as possible, wag natin ilagay as a pop-up. Kasi pag naging pop-up siya, madi-disrupt yung control from the user. Meaning, kung gumagamit ako assistive technology, biglang nawala yung control ko sa main page kasi napunta siya sa pop-up. So as much as possible, avoid pop-ups. Next, specify the error and offer solutions. Nabanggit ko na kanina. Make sure na specific bakit ka nagkamali, paano ko to aayusin. Okay? Avoid error summaries, madalas ginagawa to ng mga bank forms. Kung kailan mo kinlik, saka nila ililista lahat ng pagkakamaling nagawa mo. Di ba? Parang ano lang eh. Parang mga X lang eh. Lilistahan ka ng ano ng pagkakamali mo. If possible, validate one field at a time. So for example, if this field number 1 is required, kung kaya niyong gawin na hindi siya makapunta ng field number 2 until ma-fill upan yung field 1, that's better. Diba? That lessens the errors. Mababawasan yung error. And then lastly, don't rely on color alone, which we discussed on tip number 2. Dapat meron tayong other visual cue other than making it red. Yan. So ito yung second, usually ginagawa naman to sa mga footer. Make sure lang na merong, always merong way to get in touch with you or the company, or merong way to access the FAQs. Yan. Tip 12. Uy, last na to. Yay. Last tip is about responsive design. Okay. So, more for developers ito. Pero as designers, what I do is I make sure na meron yung designs ko ay merong version for website or desktop, merong for mobile. If the developer or if the client asks for a tab version, I also do it. So, but usually, desktop and and mobile lang yung ginagawa ko kasi yun lang yung nire-require. Aside from designing that, I also follow margins. Bakit importante yung margin? Si margin, minimake sure niya na nare-retain sa tamang lugar yung content mo regardless kung anong size ng screen ni user ang gamit. So for example, sa desktop, I use MacBook Air tawag dyan, na template or na size. Kung yung user ko ay 16 inches yung monitor, baka lumapad, di ba? So, yung margins would make sure na nakikip siya sa tamang lugar. Okay? So, what I use for desktop, yung margin ko ay between 120 to 160 pixels. Yung margin ay itong puti na nasa gilid. Yan. Yun yung margin. Ibig sabihin, hindi ako maglalagay ng anything na nasa white area. Yan. So 120 to 160 for desktop. For tablets, I use between 80 to 100 for tabs. And then for phone or for mobile, I use 16 to 20 pixels yung margins. Ayan. So, oh my gosh. Yes. Tapos na ako. So those are the 12 tips for designing. So again, hindi ko kaya i-cover lahat ng guidelines ng web accessibility, pero itong 12 tips na to are very easy to implement in your designs. So quickly run through ko lang din yung tools and resources. Don't worry, I can give you a copy of this tag dito, netong presentation na to para mabalikan niyo yung tools, no? So, if you want to learn about WCAG or Web Content Accessibility Guidelines or Web Accessibility in general, pwede niyo puntahan tong references na to. Yung mga tools, pinakita ko kanina si WebAIM, si Stark, si ContrastKit, si TypeScale, ginagamit ko siya sa paggawa ng headings or yung pagkakasunod-sunod ng mga headers. Material design, I use it as reference for mobile design. Nagde-design din kasi ako ng app. Wave or si Web Accessibility Evaluation Tool, this can help you evaluate if a website is accessible or not, pero hindi siya 100%. So, kumbaga, bibigyan ka lang niya ng overview ng mga bagay-bagay kung which needs attention in terms of accessibility. Colorblind Dalton, it's a Google extension, helps me simulate kung visible ba yung content ko sa mga colorblind. Alt text generators, napakita ko to kanina. Yeah, so for screen readers, merong NVDA tsaka JAWS, pareho silang Windows. So ito yung gamit usually ng mga taong may visual challenges or for those who test. So NVDA and JAWS. Pero merong built-in yung ating mga laptops. If you use Mac, Mac has voiceover, so Command F5, mag-activate siya. For Windows naman, meron silang narrator, Windows logo key, control, at saka enter. Lalabas na si narrator. For books, ito yung mga books na nabasa ko na. Actually, narinig ko na kasi I prefer audiobooks. So yan. Yon. Tapos, if you're not yet a part of our community, please check out Web Accessibility PH on Facebook. So, meron kaming page and meron din kaming community. Yeah, may Facebook group. Ayan. Tapos, wait, I shall paste the link of, wait, nasaan na yun? Ay, okay. um, Sige, mamaya, ipapaste ko yung link nung, nitong nitong presentation. But, I want to know kung may questions kayo. Ayan. Meron ba kayong questions? View the presentation. Yeah. Kung gusto niyo makita yung presentation or yung slides ulit, ito siya. Ayan. Hindi ko nabasa yung mga chat. Meron bang question kanina?
Merong isang question lang. Dun pa sa intro. Saan na yan? About dun sa sa kasi na-mention mo yung mga laws sa ibang bansa na
Hmm.
yun yung pinapagbasihan ng ibang mga businesses and of course government agencies para sa implementation ng accessibility sa sa mga websites and apps. So, ang tanong is, meron bang same na ganun dito sa Pilipinas?
Meron naman. May mga disability laws tayo. Pero hindi lang siya, I guess, hindi lang siya highly implemented. And meron nga actually tayong sariling web content accessibility guidelines created by um, Philippine Web Accessibility Group or PWAG. Yan. Pero parang sa ngayon ata implemented pa lang siya ng government websites, some government websites. Ayun. So hindi pa siya highly implemented sa Philippines. But if your clients or your target audience are from different parts of the world, might as well make sure na yung ating websites are accessible. Yun.
Kanina actually, habang nag-check din ako ng mga existing laws sa Philippines. And yung isa na nakita ko na probably closest is yung Republic Act 7277, an act providing for the rehabilitation, self-development, and self-reliance of disabled persons and their integration into the mainstream of society and for other purposes. So, firstly, hindi ako lawyer. So, itong sabihin ko, hindi siya legal advice. And super limited lang din ang knowledge ko about this. So, probably we can invite someone na mas maraming alam dito sa uh, legal aspect ng ng accessibility, no. Pero ito kasi, I think this is a bit similar dun sa Americans with Disabilities Act na hindi talaga explicitly sinasabi na yung website mo dapat accessible. Kasi even sa ADA walang ganun eh. So sa US kasi yung um, while yung mga lawsuits are based dun sa ADA, medyo walang unified or standard na uh, tawag dito na guideline kung ano ba dapat kung dapat bang accessible yung website. Kumbaga hindi siya explicitly nakalagay dun sa batas na yung website dapat accessible. So ang nakalagay lang dun is dapat hindi discriminate yung people with disabilities, especially pagdating sa mga public accommodations, yun. Ganun. So, yun yung ginagamit nilang basis doon. And itong RA 7277, very similar siya. Binasa ko ng mabilisan. Yung mga rights and privileges na binibigay sa people with disabilities. So, ang nakaano lang doon are yung employment. So, dapat may equal opportunities, education, health, social services. Meron actually na mention about telecom, pero yung specifics lang yun na naka-specify are sa TV, alam niyo yung may mga nagsa-sign language, sa telephone, tapos yung free postal charges. And then meron ding section doon about accessibility, pero ang
specifics niya are yung sa buildings. So yung mga architecture, dapat merong ramps, yung dapat i-allow din sila mag-drive, and then yung accessibility ng transportation. Pero wala talaga yung sa ano. Similar to the ADA din, public accommodations and services lang yung talaga. Kumbaga very general yung ano, yung pagkaka-cover niya. And while ganun din yung sa ADA, yun kasi meron ng decision ng isang court sa US na websites are considered public accommodations. Yun. So, pwedeng yun din siguro yung magamit na basis dito sa Philippines. I'm not sure. Again, I'm not a lawyer. So, ano ko lang yun. Personal opinion ko lang yun. Yeah.
Okay. May question si Brian, pero dagdagan ko lang yung sinabi mo bago ko sagutin si Brian. Sa UK, meron silang Equality Act of 2010. So, dun din, hindi specified na yung websites ay dapat accessible. Ang sinasabi doon ay you cannot discriminate against people with disabilities. So, this goes for private and public sectors. So, pareho. So, kung sa EDA public sectors, ito sa UK, private and public. So, kung yung business mo, basta nag-o-offer ka ng business na sila yung target mo, kahit based ka pa dito sa Pilipinas, kailangan hindi ka discriminatory. Yun lang siya. So si Equality Act 2010 din ng UK, hindi rin siya nagsispecify ng technical stuff kung ano yung dapat gawin para gawing web accessible yung website. Pero ang sinusunod nila yung web content accessibility guidelines. Yan. So, i-relate ko na sa question ni Brian. Connect natin sa question ni Brian. Merong level AA and AAA. Anong difference nila and what is it for? I think ikaw mas better mag-explain nito, Jerson.
Yeah. Actually itong mga levels of conformance na mention ko to dun sa first two webinars ko. Not first two webinars, but meron akong previous webinars about the web content accessibility guidelines where in-explain ko ng bahagya yung yung iba-ibang mga levels na to. So meron tayong 3 levels of conformance. So merong level A, merong level AA tsaka AAA. So yung level A, siya yung minimum lang talaga, minimum effort. Kumbaga, very easy to do, very easy to implement, very basic. So sila din yung usually pinaka-crucial na kapag hindi mo sila na-implement, malaki yung magiging impact nila sa accessibility ng website or ng apps. So kapag chinek mo yung yung web content accessibility guidelines, naka-indicate naman doon sa bawat success criterion kung anong level siya. So kanina yung mga pinapakita ni Kat na mga tips, nakalagay naman doon, naka-indicate doon kung level A ba siya, level AA or AAA. Ngayon. Tapos itong AA, ito yung standard or usually ito yung tina-target ng mga businesses para maging conformant sila dun sa level na yun. So single A, minimum, AA parang standard siya. Yung AAA is very strict. So it means lahat ng guidelines dapat kumbaga nasusunod or nai-implement dun sa website. Ano rin siya, hindi ko alam kung anong term yung gamit doon. Pero kapag single A ka, so lahat lang ng single A yung ifa-follow mo. Kapag level AA yung ita-target mo, kasama yung level A and double A na mga success criteria. Kapag triple A yung ita-target mo, so lahat ng guidelines, whether single A, double A, or triple A, lahat yon i-implement mo dapat sa sa website or sa app mo. Ayun. So, pwede kang mag-refer dun sa mga previous na webinars about the WCAG or the WCAG.
Nasa YouTube natin yun, di ba? Tama ba?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hanapin mo kami sa YouTube. Ayan. Yun. Any other question? Or violent reactions? Ano yata? Going?
Welcome.
Ayan. Teka, send ko na rin yung, or ikaw na lang yung channel natin.
Sige, sige.
Ah,
Yung sa YouTube.
para makita nila yung iba pang
Sige.
webinars. Previous webinar.
So,
Ayan.
ito yung link
Tapos,
sa ano
ayan,
natin,
sige. Go.
kung hindi pa kayo member dyan sa group, so you can join. And I'm just getting the channel link ng link channel ng ating YouTube. Basta ito yung handle natin sa sa YouTube.
Ito, nakita ko na. Ayan.
Okay.
Ayan. So, nandyan yung mga previous na webinars if you want to check out yung other topics.
Ito
Ayan.
yung sa first na webinar about web content accessibility guidelines. So, yan yung kumbaga ginawang introduction natin sa sa WCAG. So, na-explain dyan yung levels of conformance.
Ayan. So, I guess, wala nang other questions. If ever meron, punta lang kayo doon sa group, sa ating Facebook community. Tapos, tanong lang kayo doon. We'll do our best to reply right away. Ayan.
Since hindi natin na live stream to sa Facebook group, upload ko na lang agad din sa YouTube and post dun sa group natin para you can watch the replay and yung mga hindi naka-attend, they can watch.
Ayan. I guess we're good na. Ayan. Thank you so much for attending, guys. Ayan, maraming salamat. And see you on the next webinars.
And thank you, Kat, for the wonderful.
Hi, you're welcome.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. See you next
See you.
month.
Thank you.